I mentioned basketball. We teased a little bit on it last week sometime. Well, actually the week before because the Ed Reed stuff. So we're going to take a break from that for a minute and finish the basketball conversation that we hit on a high level 2 weeks ago. And we're going to go deep dive into it, right? So as you can tell, for those who've been following, the HBCU basketball it's in the meat of the season right now, right? And so what we're going to do is we're going to hit start with the MEAC. We're going to hit the MEAC, SWAC, the CLA, and the SIAC or SIAC, depending on where you're from. So we're going to, of course, with each of those, we're going to hit the women because ladies first, right? Shout out to Queen Latifah and Bonnie Love. And then hit the men each conference. So we're gonna start with the MEAC, our beloved MEAC. We're gonna hit the women's right now. And I noticed that Morgan State, Norfolk State, they're battling, man. They're by far the two best teams overall in the conference. Morgan State sitting at 11-6 overall. Norfolk State sitting at 16-4. Morgan State being undefeated in conference play. Norfolk State only have one loss in conference play. And I think you were going to go into like the movers and shakers, but right now let's just cover the women's and men's as a whole. Then hit the individual movers and shakers of each conference. So it looks like it's shaped out to be Morgan State and Norfolk State, for the women's go, and obviously Norfolk State's probably the best team overall in the conference, sitting at 16-4. But Morgan State is undefeated at 4-0 in the conference. So is this still Norfolk State's like conference, like as far as championship, regular season championship, is it still Norfolk State's to lose right now?
So right now, yeah. But we still have to wait and see what happens when they meet up once again in the regular season, which will end up being, well, actually, no, they do not meet up again in the regular season. So if no, I'm sorry, I take that back. They actually meet on the 18th of February.
Right.
But they actually played tonight, and that's how they got that half game lead over the ladies, the Spartans, by beating them 57-46. Well, actually, Norfolk State actually lost today in Baltimore, 57-46 to the Lady Bears. So if the Lady Bears can continue to hold on to this lead, especially after they make their trip to Norfolk in the middle of next month, it's probably their conference. It is their conference league to lose, most definitely.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that because it's something about having a team that's you're battling for the top spot coming to your house, right? They already went to Morgan State's house, lost by 11, as you said earlier. Again, looking at, Norfolk State the women will present an interesting case if they were to continue to win out and do their thing, but lose early in their conference tournament as an at-large.
Yeah.
Because I'm just looking at the body of work they beat. People are saying, well, it ain't the big boys, but still, they won at College of Charleston. They won at Appalachian State. They beat Campbell. They won. I think they won a preseason tournament where they beat Marshall at Savannah, Georgia, to win it, right? And it's a bad loss to Alabama. It's Alabama, but they beat William & Mary. They won. They barely. Actually, no, they won at UNC Wilmington. Excuse me. So basically, and they barely lost at Penn State. So they have a good body of work. All right, they got a good body of work to work with. So it's going to be interesting to see if Norfolk State wins the regular season, but loses early in the conference tournament, how that could come into play because they will make a legit argument of being an at-large team if that was the case.
It's really going to be based upon how the committee sees the conference, and I know they're going to take conference play heavily into consideration if they look into to be an at-large, because I truly believe if they don't make it into the tournament, they're going to get into the NIT. With the remainder of the conference all being sub 500 right now, especially before conference play. I don't know how much they're going to respect the MEAC or even Norfolk State based upon what they've done. And I don't know how good the rest of these teams are that they beat, and they play again, like you said, a Big Ten team in Penn State to a 6-point loss. So depending upon, like I said before, depending upon how the committee looks at it, and I haven't looked at the metrics as of yet, but yeah, if they consider these games, but that 62-point loss to Alabama is going to be tough.
That's going to hurt. That's going to hurt. That's going to sting a lot.
But again, they do have a ton of out of conference wins. It's just it's really going to be based upon how the committee looks at those wins and what do they think of the MEAC as a whole, on whether or not they end up receiving it at large. It is a rarity. I don't even know if there's ever been a situation where an HBCU has gotten in as an at large into the women's tournament. So if that does happen, that would be remarkable. But I don't know. I don't know. I'm a little leery about that.
I get it. And so let's hop to the men's side. Got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-way jam out at the top, right? With Norfolk State, Maryland Eastern Shore, the North Carolina Central, Fontaine Lavelle Multins, Morgan State, and Howard. All sitting at 3-1 in conference play, right? And Norfolk State, as far as overall record, is the best out of a lot of 13-6. The rest of them are over 500, except for Howard. Well, Howard's over 500 as well. The rest of them, Maryland should show Central and Morgan State, are 10-8 and 10-9, as well as Howard's 11-10. So it's not too bad at the top, but basically this is going to be a fight to the finish. So it's what it's shaping out to be. It's going to be looks like going to be a 4 to 5 team race. So who's your lead dog in the house right now on the men's side?
Oh man, that's going to be tough. Like you said, it's 5-team. The 5-team tie for first place in the MEAC right now.
Right.
Now it's due to basically wins by Howard, Central, Norfolk, and Eastern Shore this past weekend. And as of right now, as we currently speak, Norfolk State and Morgan are going at it right now with, actually it's on ESPNU, and I believe that Morgan State is currently holding a 10-point lead over the Trojans. And I have yet to see what the score is for Eastern Shore and Central.
Right.
It's very easy to lean on the likes of Central and Norfolk State, but I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to go ahead and be a little unconventional. I believe this is going to be at least a 2-team tie, if not 3, at the end of the season for first place. And I'm intrigued to see exactly how that's going to be handled. If you watched me on this show before, you already know these 3 words coming out of my mouth. I love chaos. So I want to see exactly how this goes down in terms of what the commissioner, what Commissioner Stills and the conference does in terms of having a tie like that in its 8-team league.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, brother, to be sure. So give me, as far as the MEAC goes, give me your movers and shakers as far as individual performers on the men's and women's side in the MEAC. Because a lot of people don't know these people.
We talked about, God, what was the one young lady? I just looked at her name, Deja Wilson, that plays with, Deja Francis, that plays with, I'm thinking about another Deja, that plays with Norfolk State, who actually leads the Spartans in points per game and in assists per game, and I believe in points and assists per game. Is one young lady you want to watch. Sam Sessions for Coppin State, even though he's been struggling this year, the team has been struggling this year. That dude has been balling out of his mind throughout the entire year. So that's another guy to see, to follow if you haven't been following what's been going on in the MEAC as of right now. But it'll be intriguing to see whether or not they can make a late surge, to at least try to push for one of those top 4 seeds in the conference. But as of right now, they are currently 6th in the conference because of that 5-way tie. But Sam Sessions has been playing lights out all year long.
Right. All right, let's move along to the SWAC, the Power Black Conference of the Hour. At least what people tell us. Let's let's go to the women's. Basically, got it looks like to be a two-team race, man. Jackson State, Alabama State, both 6-1 in conference play. Jackson State's the only squad who's over 500 with a 9-8 record. Southern's right there with a 5-2 conference record. Alabama State and Grambling as well, but those teams not nearly as good as Jackson State and Alabama A&M. So to me, it's going to set between. It's going to come down to me between Jackson State and Alabama A&M. What say you?
No, I completely agree with you. You know, I'm waiting to see exactly what happens over the next few weeks. But yeah, to your point, I'm looking at Jackson State to go ahead and potentially be the representative again out of the conference. I don't know as of right now if anything will be different once we get to tournament time.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I mean, again, it's you know, it's like when you see something that's so obvious, you just don't try to argue it. Argue against it. That's what it looks to me right now. But the men's side, it's competitive at the top. I mean, you got Southern Alcorn at 5-1, leading the conference, followed by Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Alabama State at 5-2, Grambling, and Jackson State at both 4-2. But aside from Grambling, everyone else sucks as far as overall record, man. You got everyone else, it's like under 500, and it's just horrible. So it looks like to me, if a team not named Grambling State ends up as a conference, regular season and conference tournament champ, they're going to be one of those playing cats because, the overalls don't look all that great right now, and it's probably not going to be that way at the end of the season. But still, there is a log jam at the top. So if you were a betting man, what would you put your money? Who would you put your money on? Southern, Alcorn, Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Alabama State, Grambling, Jackson, or anybody else across the right, the hat in the ring.
If I was a gambling man, wow, thank God I'm not. Well, maybe I should be.
Yeah.
If I was a gambling man, I would probably put my money on actually Alcorn State. It's because of the fact that they have the best. Well, no, I'm sorry. Grambling has the best away record right now. So I'm wondering how that will necessarily play out in a neutral site situation.
Right.
But God, right now, Alcorn and UAPB are currently on a 5-game win streak. So it's going to be interesting to see whether or not they're capable of holding that stretch out for the. I know they're not going to make a run for the rest of the season. It's a hot box in SWAC, like you said. That's right now. What's that? You got 4 teams that are within a game of the 2 teams that are currently tied for first place in the SWAC. Being like you said, Arkansas Pine Bluff being one of those teams that's on, but being the other team on that 5-game run, Grambling, who we already talked about, Alabama State and Jackson State. But man, because if memory serves me, I think they only take the top 10 teams into the tournament, and that 10th team, as of right now, is the team that again will be one, even though they haven't shown us anything as of yet. That Texas Southern team is the one that I would probably still be most concerned about based on what they've done over the past 5 years.
Oh wow, Texas Southern. So they're at 2-6. It's in the conference play, but just for one of the conference tournament teams. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, because I mean, I understand they're not doing well right now, and I know that this team that they currently have lined up right now is not what they've been in recent years. The teams that have represented the conference is most definitely not this team that we're looking at right now.
Gotcha.
But I've seen some weird things happen in that SWAC championship. I don't think I've ever seen a last place team win that tournament, and I doubt that happens right now. But if I was to take a sleeper, I'm gonna go ahead and take the sleepiest of the sleepers because of what they're known to do.
Got it. Totally get it. So Just close up the SWAC segment with your movies
And
and
I know
shakers.
SWAC people are calling me crazy right now. I know that they are. But if I had to put my money on anybody, it would be Grambling right now.
There you go. That makes sense. So similar to what we did for the MEAC, who are your movies and shakers, both the men's and the women's side? I should say women's and men's. Ladies first.
Ooh, man. Movers and shakers on the men's and women's side. Oh, man. We had a big game over this past weekend with what was that? With Grambling narrowly beating out Mississippi Valley State. And who was that had that big game for Grambling last week? Come on now, where you at? Jonathan Nku, who had 13 points, and who was that? Cameron Christian, who had 12. And what did he do last night? So yeah, he had 12 points as well. So those two guys had big nights this past weekend. It'd be intriguing to see what they do tonight with their matchups. Actually, that's about to start in about the next couple of minutes with Grambling actually playing against Pine Bluff on the road. And then you got Bethune-Cookman going up to Alcorn State in a few minutes too. So you'll just be waiting to see exactly what happens with them. And then as for Jackson State, the women, you have who is that? Actually, it's Micah Gray that's currently leading the league in points per game, along with Chanel Wilson with Bethune-Cookman with both over 18 points per game. So yeah, it's actually more so the women who are in the middle of the pack in the SWAC that have been doing it up in terms of scoring points.
There you go. There it is. And speaking, I made a reference of putting who you put your money on. If those of you out there who want to put your money on some sports, you need to check out betus.com. So listen up, sports bettors. Your favorite sportsbook, betus.com, is back for our 20th year of NFL action. With the industry's biggest sign-up bonus up to 200%, BetUS offers our members the opportunity to cash in on all your favorite sports, including NFL, UFC, and MLB. So if you're looking for live in-game betting, incredible odds with daily odds, boosters, props, and parlays, you got it. And how about fast payouts and exceptional one-on-one customer service? We got that too. So log on to betus.com or call 800-792-3887. That's 800-79-BET-US. Use the promo code TKT for Klown Times as well. BetUS.com, where the game begins. All right, let's head over to CLWA about Division II brethren. We'll start with the women's side. So, excuse me, look at the conference here, and division in the conference rec. I mean, you got in the Northern Division, you got Lincoln leading the way in the division, undefeated in division play, but had the best record in conference. Overall record is 13-5, which is pretty damn good. Followed by Bowie State and Elizabeth City State, both over 500 as well. But then in the Southern Division, you got Fairfield State at 7-2 in the division, and 7-2 in conference play. Excuse me. 11-6 overall. Winston State is the lone. Well, actually, them and Kathleen are both over 500, and like overall, but Winston State's over 500 conference play, the second best in the Southern Division. So this looks to be hella competitive conference from a conference perspective. I mean, take out the division for a minute. You got like Lincoln at 7-8-1, Bowie State's out on the trail at 6-3, followed by really Fairfield State, followed by Bowie and Winston State. So who's your money on? Lincoln, Fairfield State, Bowie, or Winston State for the regular season conference title?
As of right now, Lincoln. As much as I would love to see the ladies of Bowie State, challenge them a little bit more. The thing is, of course, within recent years, they just can't seem to figure out that puzzle that are the Lady Lions of Lincoln. They currently have that game lead over the Lady Bulldogs, led by Sienna Montgomery, who actually had over 20 points in their win over Shaw this past weekend. So this past Saturday. I don't know, man. They're going to be a tough out. Like you said, 13-5, 8-1 in the conference, 3-0 undefeated in the division. They're winners of 9 of their last 10. they're going to be tough. But like you said, with that Southern Division, you most definitely have to keep your eyes out on last year's champion Fayetteville State and Winston-Salem State to see who actually comes out of that division as the winners, to see who's going to end up getting that number 1 overall seed. But to your point, with Claflin being the third team over 500 in that division, boggles my mind that they're 0-3 within the division in terms of division play. So they must have had some tough games to start out their divisional play, meaning they're going to have to play some catch up so that they don't end up with anything worse than a third seed come tournament time.
Yeah, that's crazy that they had those 3 straight losses. But hey, it's a long season, so we'll see about that. Moving to the men's side right quick, you got the Virginia schools still rule the Northern Division. Virginia Union, Virginia State, respectively. They're both at 6-2. Best record, top of the best conference record. Virginia Union is still sitting pretty at 16-4 overall. Wow. Virginia State's 13-6. You skip down to Southern Division. Guys at Claflin, my man, shout out to Rashad Myers, who used to come on this podcast like last year, but hadn't been on in a while. Got to have him back on. So he's pretty happy right now. They're sitting at 6-3 in the conference, 14-3 overall. So all of their losses have come in conference play. So that's pretty damn good. As far as like a potential HBCU tournament resume in the Division 2. Fayetteville State is tied for the lead as well, but Winston State at 5-4, to me, is a better team than Fayetteville State. They got a far better overall record. I think the 2 best teams in Southern Division are Catholic and Winston State, to be honest with you. So this is where it gets really, really interesting, right? Because you got 4 damn good teams in the Seattle Bay men's side, right? So the question is, you can't go wrong with either of them. You can't go. I mean, Virginia Union is a big favorite. Don't get me wrong. They're just the best team, I think, in the Seattle Bay. But you can't count on Claflin and Winston State, man. And you really can't count on Virginia State, to be honest with you. So that's going to be very interesting observing this race going down the stretch between those 4 squads and 2 divisions.
I'm leaning towards Virginia Union. You know, they're looking to end the month of January very strong. Like I said when I spoke to you, not last week, but the week prior, I was on my way down to Petersburg to check out Virginia Union and Virginia State at the Freedom Classic, and the Panthers took it to the Trojans, but from tip off, and they were led by Robert Osborne. And Osborne and I'm mad I missed this game this past weekend here in Bowie, Maryland. But Robert Osborne did it again. That boy done it again. He had 33, 7, and 1 assist against the Bulldogs, shooting 15 for 19 from the floor. Actually took no 3-pointers. How about that? Right? So, Osborne has been balling out of control over the last 2 games that I've seen him. But he's actually, I don't think he's the league leader in points per game, if memory serves me correctly. Let me see. No, actually he is. I'm sorry. He is leading the league now in points per game with 20.8. He's just under 20 points per game. And like I said, they're looking real strong as of right now, led by Osborne. I'm waiting to see if anyone's going to be capable of, especially within that division, to knock them off that number 1 spot.
Yeah, that's going to be very interesting. So I got a question before going to movers and shakers. I don't know how at-larges work in Division 2. So you have to educate me on this. But to me, I'm looking at.
But before you ask, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you I don't know either.
Okay,
I'm not familiar either. So I have to apologize to the D2 fans. That's something I most definitely have to be educated on in the coming weeks. So let me go ahead and say I will have that answer for you when we come back next week.
Nice, coolness. because they both Kaplan and Virginia Union have some impressive out-of-conference wins. Hell, in Kaplan's case, like I mentioned
Uh-huh.
earlier, all three of their losses came in conference play. So, which means they've won all their out-of-conference. So that's something to be said about that. But anyway, moving to the movers and shakers, men's and women's in the Seattle Bay. Who showed out to you? Who stood out to you so far?
Like I said, over there on the men's side, it's all easily. You know, I don't even have to think twice about that one. Then over on the side, it's this young right. Is it Cyane Montgomery out of Lincoln, who leads the league in points per game as well. So those are the two big players that have been balling out for the entire season so far, who most definitely have been having strong games recently for their respective teams.
Cool. All right. So last but not least, we're going to head down to the SIAC or SEAC, what part of the country you're from. We're going to start with the women's. Looks like it's going to be in the East Division. It's Savannah State all day, every day. 9-3 in the conference, 13-4 overall. I think I think that's the East is theirs to lose right now, because you look at, Clark and Atlanta 7-4, Allen's 5-7. Those are your second and third place teams respectively. They don't have the overall record and everything else. They're not as good as Savannah State. They're by far the class in the Eastern Division. Meanwhile, the West, the Ski is still doing a damn thing. They're unbeaten, 12-0, 15-3 overall. Beasts, right? Followed by Miles at 9-4, 12-5 overall. In Lane at 7-3 and 11-4 overall. Looks like the actual focus should be on the West Division. Not only because Tuskegee is dominant, but Miles and Lane look pretty damn good too. So, but to me, it's looking like it's going to be Savannah State and Tuskegee. But Tuskegee, man, is anyone going to beat Tuskegee in conference play? Because they're 12-0 right now. They're pretty damn dominant. So shout out to the Tuskegee women.
They're most definitely balling out. I'm not going to say no, because anything can happen. Let me look and see what their schedule looks like right now, because I got a strange feeling that it could be like a late game in the year that may end up. They just end up having a 4-point win at the crib against Miles. They actually played Miles on Saturday, so you may want to keep an eye out on that game to see if the Lady Bears can come back for some payback at their spot over in Fairfield, Alabama. So, excuse me, that would be the game to watch.
Yeah, because I mean, again, I just marvel at how dominant Tuskegee is right now. It's dope. It's very, 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 very dope. So so I'm gonna keep my eye out on Tuskegee. But shout out to Savannah State as well. The Fighting Shannon Sharps. But I think that Tuskegee is so dominant. I just don't see anybody beat Tuskegee and SIAC. That's just
actually, oddly enough, back-to-back games between the teams that are in second and third place within their division, where they go 2 miles and then they go 2 lane down in Jackson, Tennessee the following week. So those will be most definitely the 2 games to watch. But yeah, if they're capable of getting past those two, and they actually have Spring Hill coming up on, what is that, Wednesday? That might be a dub for them. Let me look and see for them. But yeah, they can get past Spring Hill. Those 2 games, like I said before, at Miles, at Lane, they may be able to run throughout the rest of their regular season.
All right, so we're gonna close the basketball segment out with the men's side of the SIAC. It's very competitive at the top, bro. In the East Division, Savannah State 9-3 in the conference, 11-5 overall, followed by Benedict at 8-4 in conference, 10-7 overall. But the West, just like the women's side, the West is going to be where it's at. Miles is at 10-3, 14-4 overall. Tuskegee, the men, represent the 9-4 in conference play, 14-6 overall, followed by Lemoyne Owen and Kentucky State at 8-3 in conference play, both over 500 overall. Lemoyne being at 13-5, and Kentucky State at 9-4. This is going to be much tougher to call because it's particularly out west. It's very competitive at the top out west. No disrespect to Savannah State and Benedict, but the power to me is out west. So whereas could anybody in the East beat out anybody in the West in the conference tournament, it remains to be seen. But to me, the power leans out west, and it's pretty much comes down between, to be honest with you, Miles and Tuskegee for conference supremacy right now. Again, no disrespect to Savannah State, but to me, at least on paper, Miles and Tuskegee are the two best teams in the SIAC. And Lemoyne has something to do with that.
Most definitely.
I was going to say, and Lemoyne may have something to say about that too. But go ahead.
What was that?
About that? I said Lemoyne may have something to do with that too. May have something to say about that as well.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The way that, of course, it's that interesting seeding. So it's a possibility we may end up getting two West teams in the championship game. Yeah, we will just have to wait and see how those teams finish up. But let me go ahead and look at Miles' schedule real quick to see how they finish up the month of January going into February. So yeah, they actually go to Spring Hill. They got Tuskegee at home. They got Spring Hill again, and then they're at Central State, and they go to Kentucky State. 2 out-of-conference games against Southeastern Baptist College, and they go to Oakton, and then they finish up conference play with Lemoyne Owen, which is going to be a big game to watch on the 18th, and then they finish up with Lane.